Shalom, and welcome to What the Watchman Sees, a ministry that will sift through all of the social media noise to show you news of importance from the Most High's perspective. As watchmen, we are here both to warn of dangers and give biblical answers for dwelling in the secret place of the Most High during these times of confusion. Tell your family and friends to like, share, and subscribe as we delve into what Yahweh has for us, the apple of His eye. Let's get to work. Shabbat Shalom. On this Shabbat, we're going to be talking about an awakening. We're going to be looking at the awakening from the original purpose coming from the Most High, and that is the awakening of His people. Part of the awakening is when His people understand two things: that we are not in control, and that there is a God who is in control. And the God who is in control has placed us on a landmass that over the centuries has been ruled by what we have been calling the seed of the serpent. And so part of the awakening, a big part of the awakening, is realizing, as that famous movie, The Matrix, that as that famous movie trilogy, The Matrix, brought to light, what we see is not what is actually going on. And so we're going to be talking about this awakening. That spirit that controls the world today is the seed of the serpent. That's been our meditation, not meditating on the seed of the serpent, but meditating on the Father's blessing for His people to understand the true nature of the world and the spiritual world that we're dealing with. Okay. So the seed of the serpent, 100% of the time, has to do the work and has to manifest the will of the seed of the serpent, of the serpent, through human beings. So that's where we're starting. So this meditation is about us as human beings awakening to that fact. This is not the first time, but this is a unique time because not only are the human beings awakening, but so is the planet. And when I say planet, I'm talking about what some people refer to as Mother Earth. The Earth is awakening, and in that awakening, we have what we have now. So we're not going to focus on the Earth so much, but it's just to say that this particular awakening is a little bit different because it's not just the human beings on the planet, it's the planet itself that this is all taking place on. In our world, those who make, adjudicate, and execute the laws of the land. Now, when I say in our world, I'm talking about the world of the people in these parts. So the people who make, the people who adjudicate, and the people who execute the laws of the land have been given their focus by a very small group of people, and that small group of people uses finance, the purse strings, to dictate how the individuals who are making the laws, adjudicating the laws, and executing the laws, how those people function. The means of distributing this will of the nation come through the media, it comes through the educational system, and the religious institutions, churches, seminaries, Bible study groups, mosques, synagogues, and all of those social entities up to recent times. You're going to be seeing my eyes move back and forth because I have things written down that I don't want to forget. Okay. So all of these social entities up to recent times have worked in tandem and in submission to the national goal of prosperity by any means necessary. And with several notable exceptions, the system has worked extremely well. When it doesn't, there is a military arm that's also a part of the system, whether that be civilian military or the military that projects power around the world. And so that military is there to ensure that the will of the nation is established by this ruling class, which is comprised of a handful of people and is adhered to by everyone in the society. So that is the hierarchy, so to speak, when we come to understanding what we are awakening to. What I just said, most people don't think about, and if they do think about it, then what? And that's kind of where we are with those of us who consider ourselves to be awake sometimes are awake to the fact that we do not have a lot of agency in this, but that's because we're looking at the reality with only half of the information, because some of this is happening in the physical realm and a lot of it is happening in the spiritual realm. So we've been focusing on the physical realm and missing the purpose of the spiritual realm in this whole process. So part of what the awakening is about is bringing those two together, bringing the spirit, bringing the material. I would even say in the mind of those who are awakening back to what it actually is, because we've been living in a matrix for our control. So, like I said, for the most part, this system has worked remarkably well for the past 250 years. Here's the problem, though. This is an empire, and like all other empires, it has a limited shelf life. We're currently at the end of that shelf life, and that's what the awakening is reminding us. So, both the secular and religious prophecies from long ago have spoken of these, what are are referred to in the spiritual community as the last days. However, the empire's interpretations of the last days and the actual reality of the last days are different. To be succinct, these are the last days of the age of this empire, not the last days of the planet. These are the last days, but these are not the final days. Because as we talk about this on the Shabbat, our focus is on the spiritual ramifications of everything. And the spiritual ramifications is that there is no scripture that says that the earth will no longer be, at least not in the sense that we have been taught in the matrix. Okay, so these are the last days of this empire. So when the scriptures talk about in the latter days, they're talking about these days that we live in. And so it's with that understanding, examining what it looks like to be awake in these days, in these last days. The current system of rulership has run its course because this is the last time for this system. It's going to be replaced by something drastically different. For the last couple of thousand years, the planet has been ruled by unclean spirits known as the seed of the serpent. And the primary means of rulership has been threefold, or a trinity, if you will. The first is deception, the second is lust, whether it be lust in the sexual way or lust for power. And the third is terror. In each one of the empires of antiquity, you will find this trinity in place and and operating. But in each one of those cases, there is a shelf life to that way of ruling. The age or the world that is beginning to manifest itself is going to be governed by love, by righteousness, and in servitude. This is where the Most High wants us as his people to focus the overwhelming majority of our energy and our attention. The age or the world that is beginning to manifest itself will be governed by love, righteousness, and servanthood. Many of us have been wondering why we have not fit in to the world as it currently exists. And many of us have felt that way since we were old enough to think or to be aware of our surroundings. This is not unique, because there are millions of people who grew up feeling that we don't belong here. I'm one of those. I just never knew where I belonged and why I was feeling things that seemingly most of the people that I knew were not concerned about. We haven't fit into this world as it currently exists. That's because we are the ones who belong to and are here to establish the beginning of that age which is to come. Every time you hear me say world, I'm really talking about an age of rank rulership. So we belong to the age that is to come, and we have been actually planted here at this time as the beginning seeds of this world that's ruled by love, adjudicated by righteousness, and executed by servanthood. Now, Yeshua told his disciples all of that. He said, those who rule the world, the Gentiles who were ruling the world then, and the Gentiles are ruling the world now, rule it over people by lording it over people. And he told his disciples, that's not your way. You're not to be served, you are to serve. And when, not just as individuals, but as a nation, when the nation serves in that capacity, the world revolves around that. When a nation rules in terror, the world revolves around that. The rule of terror is the world that is coming to an end. It is the age that is coming to an end. And we are the beginning seeds of that righteousness. We're the paradigm changers. So in the coming paradigm, the rule of love, not force, will be the new norm. In other words, it will be ruled by God because God is love. I use the word God specifically and intentionally because although I believe that God has a real name, this message is to the people who understand God as the creator of the universe. And so the age to come is to be ruled by God. God is a spirit. How we see God and how God's will is going to be manifest on the earth is as it has always been through the people who are inhabiting the planet. That's why the Bible tells us that God is love, because that's what the next age is going to be ruled by and with. I'm speaking this message to the Hebrew community, to the Christian community, but this same specifically, but this same message so that you all understand the love that is about to occur. This message has been given to the entire planet. In a sense, the Christian community is late to the party because many other people who don't believe the same things that we believe know that what's on the horizon is a society based on love. They all know this. But since we live in a paradigm of fear and we respond out of fear, and that's in the Hebrew community and the Christian community especially, we miss the mark of understanding that that's not how the Most High operates. I could go into great detail as to what that looks like, but use your own lives, your own families, your own community, and what you will see in most cases is a world that's operating based on fear of death. The fear is real now, don't get me wrong, because the spirit that is controlling this world is a death spirit. Those who are in control of the planet right now exalt themselves with death and revel in death as long as the death of others. So that's a real thing. However, the Most High's people have been given this message that that's not how we're supposed to see this world. We're supposed to see this world through His eyes, and His eyes love. We're supposed to act as He acts, and He acts in love. So even when justice is levied, justice is levied in love. This is why the Bible tells us that God is love. If you want to know how love operates, and this is where we'll spend the last few minutes, look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Here's what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's never selfish or jealous. It's never boastful or conceited. It's never rude. It doesn't take offense and is not resentful. Love takes no pleasure in other people's sins or the consequences of other people's sins, but delights in the truth. It is always ready to excuse, to trust, to hope, and to endure whatever comes. Love does not come to an end. And that's why the scriptures say, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. That's in Isaiah chapter 9. So that's, if you belong to the Most High, that I just described is your awakening. What you are awakening to is not the viciousness of your oppressor. What you are awakened to is the love of the Most High, and the expectations of the Most High for that love to be in you and be operating in you. My heart's desire for the church of the living God, as the scriptures call it, the pillar and the ground of truth. My heart's desire for Yasharel, the people of the Most High, is to understand what He has awakened you to. He has not awakened you so you can be like your oppressor. He has not awakened you so you can act the same way that your oppressor does. He has not awakened you so that you can think like your oppressor. He has awakened you to the fact that He is your God, and He is love in a world, in an age that has proven itself time and time again to be loveless. Anybody who is being poked can say, ouch. That doesn't mean you're awake. Anybody that has been given the capacity to think and reason and synthesize information can do all of those things and still not know the basic fundamental principles of the love of the Most High. So it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how many people are underneath your authority or your thumb or your foot. It doesn't matter what your body count is. What matters is First Corinthians alive in you and in your family and in your community and in your nation. First Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter. And so the message for on this Shabbat is the same message that the Most High has given from the beginning. He created the world in love. He sustains the world by His love. He forgives the world because of His love. He has mercy on the world because that's what love does. and he has expectations of the world to be like the Most High, full of love. That's the message on this Shabbat. Father, bless you and keep you. Father, make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Father, lift up his countenance upon you and